Let me ask you something before we begin. Right now, at this very moment, do you know exactly who has access to your network? Not who should have access, not who used to have access, but who actually does. Right now? Because in cybersecurity, that invisible gap between policy and reality is where breaches are born. Attackers today don't always break through firewalls. They don't always exploit zero-day vulnerabilities. Sometimes, they just log in. Welcome to Bluehat Cybersec Academy. Today, we're answering one of the most important questions in cybersecurity. Who gets in? Understanding the difference between authentication and access control is, honestly, crucial. Authentication verifies identity. Access control determines permissions after identity is verified. Authentication answers, who are you? Access control answers, what are you allowed to do? Think of entering a secure building. Authentication checks your ID at the entrance. Access control determines which doors your badge can open. If authentication fails, attackers impersonate legitimate users. If access control is weak, legitimate users can cause unintended damage. Security fails when either side is ignored. The three core factors of authentication. Let's talk about them. Authentication is built on three primary factors. Something you know, something you have, something you are. Let's break them down. So, let's talk about something you know. Password security foundations. Passwords, pins, and passphrases are everywhere. They're common, and honestly, they're heavily targeted. Weak passwords, well, they still remain one of the leading causes of breaches worldwide. A powerful way to improve your security includes using passwords that are at least 12 characters long, enforcing strong complexity, never reusing passwords across different systems, and, making use of password managers. It's important to realize that many ransomware attacks actually begin with stolen credentials. Practicing strong password hygiene can block a huge amount of automated attack traffic. Now, moving on to something you have. Strengthening your identity with possession factors. This includes hardware tokens, smart cards, and authenticator apps. If you're thinking about implementing this, start with privileged accounts first, then secure your VPN and remote access, and after that, expand to all users. A layered rollout like this really helps build stability and adoption. Next up is something you are: biometric authentication considerations. We're talking about fingerprints, facial recognition, and retina scans. These are especially powerful in high-security and mobile environments. But, just a word of caution, biometric data needs to be protected very carefully because, unlike passwords, it can't be reset if it's ever compromised. Multi-Factor Authentication, or MFA, combines two or more authentication factors. Even if, a password gets stolen, access is still blocked without that second factor. If you implement only one major improvement this year, really, make it MFA. A structured rollout looks like this. First, protect your administrators. Then, secure remote users. After that, enforce MFA across your business applications. MFA dramatically reduces the risk of account compromise. Single sign-on, or SSO, allows users to authenticate once and access multiple systems. It really helps reduce password fatigue, and it lowers the number of help desk tickets. Plus, it centralizes authentication monitoring. Here's how it works. The user logs into an identity provider, and then a secure token is issued. Connected applications trust that token. SSO definitely improves convenience, but not security by itself. Without MFA, SSO can actually become a single point of compromise. Modern authentication relies on trusted protocols. There's Kerberos for enterprise ticket-based authentication. LDAP and LDAPs are used for directory services. Radius comes into play for network device authentication. OAuth 2.0 is for web authorization. SUML is used for SSO integrations. And OpenID Connect adds identity layers. Golden rule: always encrypt. Use LDAPs instead of LDAP. Make sure you use HTTPS everywhere. Centralized identity management really helps reduce blind spots. Once identity is verified, access control takes over. Role-based access control assigns permissions based on job role. Attribute-based access control evaluates time, location, and device status. Discretionary access control allows resource owners to assign permissions. Mandatory access control enforces strict centralized rules. Choosing the right model depends on risk tolerance and compliance requirements. Enforce least privilege. Users should only access what they absolutely need. Conduct quarterly access reviews. Remove unused privileges. Eliminate standing administrative access. Use just-in-time elevation. Monitor login attempts and privilege escalations. Implement privileged access management systems for administrative accounts. Identity is the new perimeter. Network access control focuses on devices. Before connection, devices must prove compliance. Patch level. Antivirus status. Configuration baseline. If compliant, access granted. If risky, restricted or denied. Critical for BYOD and hybrid workforces. If you can't trust the device, you can't trust the session. When combined, these elements create layered protection. Strong authentication, MFA enforcement, SSO with centralized visibility, secure protocols, least privilege access, network access control, and continuous monitoring all play a role here. Authentication proves identity, access control limits damage, and monitoring detects abuse. Together, they significantly reduce internal and external risk. Start with MFA for administrators and remote access. Centralize identity management and deploy SSO. Enforce RBAC and least privilege, then introduce NAC and ongoing auditing. Security improves in layers, not overnight. Common authentication and access control. Mistakes to avoid: relying only on passwords, granting excessive privileges, ignoring privileged account monitoring, allowing unmanaged devices internally, skipping regular access audits. Modern breaches are identity-driven. Attackers target credentials first, infrastructure second. Audience security challenge. Test your environment. Let me ask you, do all administrator accounts use multi-factor authentication? When was your last complete access review? Could you detect impossible travel login attempts? Are unmanaged devices allowed on internal VLANs? If you're unsure, that's your next security action. Drop your answers in the comments and tell us what topic you want next. Zero Trust Architecture, Privileged Access Management Deep Dive, Passwordless Authentication Strategies, Identity Federation Labs. Final takeaway: controlling access in a modern threat. Landscape cybersecurity isn't just about building higher walls, it's about controlling the doors. Who gets in, what they can access, how long they stay. Attackers don't always break in. Sometimes they authenticate. And the real question is this: when someone logs in tomorrow, will you know exactly who they are and exactly what they're allowed to do? Thanks for watching Bluehat Cybersec Academy. If this video added value to your day, give it a like, share it with someone who could benefit, and subscribe for more practical networking and cybersecurity content from Bluehat Cybersec Academy. Drop a comment. We'd love to hear how you're applying these concepts in your own environment. See you next time. Stay curious, stay secure, and keep building networks that actually work.